What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to I Do It Myself. I am Wayno. How y'all feeling? It's Monday. It's Monday. You know what I mean? It's Monday, start of the week. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it going. I want to tell each and every one of y'all, thank you. We have reached over 60,000 subs and counting. We're going to continue to create content. It's a lot of new things I have coming and I'm announced. The merch is dropping this month. The merch is dropping. And all of this wouldn't be possible without y'all. So I just want to say a very special thank you to each and every one of y'all. Y'all have no idea how much y'all engaging and pushing my content does for me. With that being said, if you like what it is that I do and you new here, hit the sub button, hit them likes and run up that hype. Today we're talking about the code, this invisible manuscript or this invisible scroll about the code of the streets and the code in hip hop. Let me tell you, ain't no motherfucking code. Let's just get right to it. There is no code, especially in the streets. There's never been a code in the streets. I think that as people grow up and they get older, they start to have different perspectives on things. But if you look back over time, wherever there's poverty and there's lack of education and there's lack of resources, right? There's violence. There's violence. I don't care if you're from New York, LA, Chicago, Miami, Atlanta, the Midwest, the Illinois, the Detroits, the Michigan, wherever you're from. Wherever there's no resources, no education, you know what I'm saying? No opportunity, there's violence. And the messed up thing about it is this violence has become somewhat of a bed, somewhat of a foundation into hip hop. Now, the code of the streets, or what the streets represent. Gangster is not anything that as a parent we want any of our children to be. But so many people uphold gangster as like this great thing, right? Like it's like this amazing amusement park. I think being a gangster is like the Congo jungle, right? Like you'll watch a movie on it, you hear about it, but do you actually want to be there and sit there? No, you don't. No, you don't. But yet we take time to promote, push, and have this weird ass affinity for all of these things that we despise, yet we uphold it as this is some sort of code, but in all actuality, we don't care for none of that shit. Let's just be frank about that shit. We don't care. Now, my guy Benny the Butcher, much love and respect to Benny, but he has some things he had to say regarding the game and the voice of the streets and what that meant in hip hop today. Let's watch that and come back.
See what state the game is in when the streets don't hold the culture of the game. Now that the weird Twitter nerds and the nerds and all of these weird motherfuckers got, you know what I mean, they got their hands on the culture. The voice of the streets don't mean as much as it did when we was coming up. There was a lot of cons to that as well. You know what I'm saying? I gotta say that, but you see what happened when the streets, you know what I mean, don't control the game no more. It's a lot of fuck nigga shit going on, man. And a lot of people's okay with it because they're fuck niggas, man.
I would really love to ask Benny what he exactly meant about that, because it's like, it's not really a definitive thing that he says within there, right? But let me just talk from my side. The streets controlling the game, right? Or the voice of the streets controlling the game. Let me tell you, there's more violent rappers and artists that represent the streets, I think, right now more than there's ever been. But I also believe that a lot of our artists that I grew up on, like the artists I grew up on, the ones that was going to jail when I was young, maybe the, Tupac, who I went to jail for allegedly, SAing a woman. We all heard that story and how it went, how he had nothing to do with it, but how he treated the woman in the end is what really landed him in prison. We've heard the story of Styles P, going to prison for assault. Sean going to prison for letting a gun off. You know what I'm saying? When I was younger, yeah, there was an affinity for that. There was an attraction that let me believe that these people who was rapping these words and really acting out what they did meant something. But what did it mean? Styles P one time was on the Breakfast Club and he said how, his lawyer kept saying like, yo, you see that car? It was some new Jaguar. He said, you bought that. Now you could keep buying me cars or you could clean up your act and stop going to court and stop paying me, right? Then look at Sean. Sean went to prison for 10 years, at 21 years old, went to prison for 10 years, came home, and things weren't the same for him. And now hearing Sean talk with a little bit more clarity as to how he felt, it seemed, you could tell like he made a mistake. He goes on to say, I wasn't the person who shot the young lady in the face. That Diddy was. Now, back in that time, or he let her say that, but back in that time, right, if Sean would have said, yo, I didn't do this. Diddy is the one who did it. You know what I'm saying? Of course, that meant career suicide. That meant that he would not have no career in hip hop. That people would alienate him, and people would mess with him. And I just think that when Benny has mentioning like the nerd kids, I think the nerd kids for what they worth, like a lot of them are just noticing how a lot of street gangster shit is just dumb. Now, there's so many people that's older that don't really, I ain't gonna say they don't understand it. I feel like everybody understands that, but they also look to it as a brand. As much shit as 50 Cent has been through, 50 Cent is not doing nothing gangster. Him being a gangster, is online now. He just trolls people. But think about what 50 Cent's day to day is. He just built a big base for a studio in Shreveport, Louisiana, right? He's into making films about gangster shit that depict storytelling. He's not doing none of that. And I think that, back in the day, it's just when you was doing it, it added to the mystique. It added to the mystique. But nowadays, we got so much access to people that we don't know how to take things, and not enough artists lead with the music anymore. I think not enough artists lead with their music and stay within their music. They want to create content that got stuff to do with everything else because that's what people are telling them, and they're not leaning into the music. If you do content, that doesn't mean that you have to dance. Also don't mean that you got to do porn. So all of y'all weird ass niggas doing the OnlyFans stuff and all of that just to make $1, God bless you, but you don't have to do that as an artist. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like more artists have to lead with what they're doing. You know what I mean? What they're saying to really communicate. Like, yo, I know that I rap about gangster shit, but I'm not a gangster. And what does it mean to have like a voice in the streets? Now, to have a voice in the streets is cool, but the people in the streets are not consuming your music that much. You know what I'm saying? So I hear what Benny's saying, but the other underlying factor to this shit is ain't no hit records. A lot of niggas from the streets just don't make hit records. Every artist that we grew up on, that we viewed them as a certain way, they had hit records, whether that was Biggie, whether that was Pac, whether that was Sean, whether that was Cam, Snoop Dogg. Like, you could say what you want about them in the street, but they made hit records. Little Kim, like if you name Nas, people always say that Nas didn't have hits. Nas definitely had hits. You know what I'm saying? Wu-Tang Clan, you could name each and every single one of these artists, and what did they have? I don't care how nice you was, you could spit 1,000 bars. Some of the greatest rappers could spit the best raps. If rap was only about rapping, then Royce the 5'9" would be in everybody's top 5. Mos Def would be in everybody's top 5. Black Thought would be in everybody's top 5, but that shit is not only predicated on it. It's about mystique, it's about aura, all these things. I wanted to refer to some of the stuff that Jay used to say back in the days versus what he said more recently.
You see, I live for the love of the street. Rap to the ruggedest beats. Whole closet cluttered with heat. I spit the murder, that Brooklyn shit. Furthermore, ma, we tote guns to the Grammys. Pop bottles on the White House lawn. Guess I'm just the same old Sean.
I live for the love of the streets. I live for the love of the streets. Now, at one point in time, yes, that was real. We tote guns to the Grammys, pop bottles on the White House lawn. Guess I'm just the same old Sean. See, that was something that Jay at that time, he put into our minds, right? Like, we believed that that's what you were supposed to do. If you go to the Grammys, you're supposed to have a hammer on you. Until when I was working at Rockefeller, and me and Neef went to the Tribeca Film Festival, Neef had the hammer on him. Got caught with the hammer. We was right there. And you know what? When we got out of, when I got out that situation, Neef got locked up, and then yet the next day after, I was sent down to the bookings to go get him out the bookings, and the next day we went and spoke to Jay. You could Google this, mad times, mad interviews, I've talked about it, but Jay was like, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Right? Like, we running a multi-million-dollar business, y'all getting caught with guns at the Tribeca Film Festival. Robert De Niro is here. All types of people, George Clooney, all types of people is at the Tribeca Film Festival. Here come these young mother, Neef, he from Philly, they tote guns to go to the store, any and everywhere, and he gets caught with one. So this is what I'm saying about, like, the art and the art form and what it actually represents, or what is it representing versus what was actually going on. This is Jay saying this on Drake's album.
Poe didn't snitch. Niggas would be like, young. I got your president tweeting. I won't even meet with him. Y'all kill X, let Zimmerman live. Streets is done.
Alpo didn't snitch, he be him, right? Y'all kill X, let Zimmerman live. The streets is done. Now, whole thing about that is I'm looking at it from the perspective of this. Y'all crashing for nothing. The same dude, or everything that them dudes, all that work they put in order to catch XXX Tentacion, rest in peace to him, right? A person who took the life of a young black man, right? A young black man is still walking around here, and y'all don't care about taking your own, but y'all let him walk around. And that's a very slippery slope as well, because it's not like you making a call to action for them to do something definitely to him. But he's basically saying, like, y'all will crash on somebody who's doing something with themselves and life and in hip hop culture or whatever, and y'all let somebody like that rock out. They don't have no problems, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times in those environments, we are our own worst enemies. But there's the conversation about snitching. Now, snitching has been one of the most attractive conversations that's been happening online, especially recently with all this surrounding talk about YSL, Thug, Gunna, multiple people who have been in interrogation rooms, talked to the police, said that what is snitching versus what it's not. Fat Joe has been extremely vocal, you know what I'm saying, about snitching, and we're going to go through it, but now him and 6ix9ine, well, I ain't going to say him and 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine is saying what he's saying about Fat Joe on Vlad's platform, calling him out his name and all of that. Well, I think it was on the Danza project, excuse me, shouts out to Danza. And this is just a flashback of when he first spoke about 6ix9ine on Angie Martinez's show.
You tried to school Tekashi 6ix9ine
because I thought he was a nice guy, and now we can't. You know, he can't be my friend. He can't come around me ever again. You know what I mean? Those are rules. You know, he crossed that line. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't even understand if I go to a club and they play his song. I'm keeping it a buck. Mm-hmm. Once you cross, I pray for people who cross that line. When they talk to the police and they snitch, I pray for them. I'm like, yo, that's cool. We can't be cool. Like you over there, Utah. I don't know where you going. Just please stay away from me. I'll die before you see me in a picture with Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Now the funny part of all of this is, here's that weird ass slippery slope. Here's that weird ass slippery slope about rules, about what the rules. No, you make up your own rules. There are no rules. There is no rule book to the streets. There is no rule book to hip hop in the sense of street activity. Most people, right? I think generally people think that, you know, in the hood, that it's made up just because crime happens, that majority of the people that live in poverty are just committing crimes. That's not the case. Even for everything I said, yeah, there is crime that exists when there's no resources, education, opportunity, right? But at the same time, that does not mean that everybody in the hood is committing crimes. And a lot of people who do commit crimes is not a bunch of Tony Montanas running around. It's people committing petty shit, like either theft, domestic violence, even if they selling drugs. A lot of it be not even a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? 50 Cent always made the analogy about how the amount of time that you could get for selling drugs versus the time you would get in prison was less than minimum wage. So how dumb it was. But there's some more on Joe talking about how he feels regarding snitching, and him and Jada talking about that shit. And we gonna listen to it and come back and talk about it.
Vet in hip hop that broke the camel's back, pause, to make it to where you could snitch, and if you make good music or something, you could still live out here in hip hop. Like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back in hip hop, where we had a code and there is no code no more? There just isn't no code no more. And what do you think is the event that, you know, I remember growing up, even if you was fronting, you wasn't a real gangster, but you was spitting gangster rap shit, you wasn't fucking with the rats like that. Right now, this shit,
too many of them,
sold out concerts.
I don't think you can escape them. They all around. They're like New York City rats. Humans. It's rats everywhere, though. And everywhere is everything, you know.
Too many Fredos, not enough Michaels.
That's a fact.
You know, some of these guys got to take a boat ride, never come back. And so what happens is...
Niggas getting on these gangsters. Yeah.
No.
After police, boat ride. one-way boat rides. Keep it going.
Ain't getting
Let's
no
go.
sponsorship, right?
Yeah.
Who you think we get sponsored by? The PAL League or some shit?
One of
We
these
selling
days.
liquor, coffee, and fucking.
We getting sponsored from gangs now.
No.
And this is why everything that gets done in front of the youth is extremely confusing to them, right? Is extremely confusing to them because they can't tell which side we actually stand on. None of these niggas that's talking want their kids to be on no type of gangster time. And I also think that we are very, very, very convenient with how we deal with the police. Now, my friend gets into altercation with your friend. They start fighting. They start assaulting each other with weapons. Police pull up. Everybody says, hey, we were just playing. It's not that serious. No, it's, and everybody wants people to stand on that, right? Your child gets kidnapped. We stay away from police for that. Your child gets kidnapped or something happens in a different vein. Who you calling? Not the Ghostbusters, my nigga. You ain't calling the X-Men. You ain't calling Spider-Man. None of that. You got to call the police. Your child go missing. You feel me? You get into a car accident. There's no not cooperating with police in that sense. But amongst criminal activity is where people draw the line. Now, I think that the conversation that needs to be had for people who get older is to realize how dumb a lot of this code or a lot of these so-called rules, regardless to the snitching shit or none of that, when it comes to the streets, was so dumb because the streets is just dumb. There's nothing dope about being in the street. Nothing. It's not fun. And I don't care what a nigga say. I don't care what nobody say. Nobody's not going to convince me how fun it is in the streets. You want to know why? I have too many friends, family members, and even myself who can talk about their experiences in the streets and how it's traumatizing, how much money you lose, how much opportunity you lose, how much time you lose, how many friendships you lose, etc., right? And also to the point of how right C. Lawrence Tucker was when it came to her comments on hip hop. She said about how that lyrics glorifying violence, drugs, and disrespect towards women were destroying the souls of black women and contributing to societal problems like abuse, prostitution, and suicide amongst youth. Now, that's something that we see currently today. How many people is complaining about how prostitution is running rampant all over social media? How many people complain about our young people being depressed, right? And either coping with their issues of themselves by taking multiple opioids or whatever it is that they on and dying from overdoses or other things, right? These is the situations that I feel like need to be addressed amongst our community, as opposed to how, it used to be a time, man, where we could just all commit crimes and it was cool. Nah, it never was cool. But anyway, let's listen to a little bit more from Joe and Jada.
Yo, you focused up. No, I'm just saying we gotta talk about it because it's not a fucking code no more. And I say the guy who fucked the whole shit up.
You gonna say it?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I'ma say Sammy the Bull fucked the whole shit up. I remember when I was a kid.
Bull, nah. Listen, there's no such thing as a credible rat. But Sammy the Bull the fucking shoot the fuck out of him.
He told on 16.
They set him up though. They altered the tapes. You know that.
No, he took the stand, Sammy the Bull. Sammy the Bull's a superior rat.
He's a superior killer too though.
Yeah, that don't mean shit.
Yeah,
you can't rat and kill and be justified.
No, you can't.
Oh, he killed, but he rat. Listen.
He was justified enough to tell him, let me out of the witness protection. I'm good. I don't need it.
Yeah, but what you got to understand is Sammy the Bull ratted on his friends. I never forget the one story.
There's no...
See, even my thing with bringing up Sammy the Bull is this. We not in the mafia. We're not in the mafia. We love to emulate what the mafia stood for and the mafia is and how there was a code. There's no code amongst the mafia. They was writing and telling on each other too and taking each other's lives. There is no code. This is why I be trying to say there is no code, man. And I get frustrated. I get frustrated about this because I think about the youth a lot. Like I think about the people that's coming behind me. Pause. Like for myself, when I was younger, I looked up to a lot of men from my neighborhood and all over Harlem, the Bronx, even Brooklyn, that I knew based on who I thought these people were. And then come to find out, like now we done stood the test of time. It's 20-something, damn near 30-something years later from when I was glorifying or looking up to a lot of these guys, and they don't even have their lives together. A lot of them, listen, it's a bigger war on us with health. It's more of a war on us with health than it is in the streets. But here we go, fighting for the street code every day, fighting for these codes every day, fighting for, to be able to champion poverty. Like, bro, we come from bullshit. And the thing about it is we really could grow from out of it and be something and make something of ourselves. But you know what we rather do? Argue about who got the most hats, who got the most this. And then when the youth does it, see, this is the thing. There are people in the streets that's upholding this so-called code. But when they start doing it, then we say that they wilding. It's confusing. Here's a little bit more from Joe and Jada, and then we're going to leave it on this note. I believe he talks a little bit about Tekashi, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that, and we're going to settle it there.
In the past, I'm just saying he was a killer.
We know he's a killer. Alpo was a killer. He's a rat.
He also told him, let me out of witness protection, too.
He's a rat. And then he came out of witness protection enough till we get killed in Harlem.
No, but he was moving around and dudes was smiling and they wasn't saying nothing to him. You know that.
I know that for a fact.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's no.
Well, that's too far. What I'm saying, Sammy the Bull, Sammy the Bull
lasted on the yard for 15
Sammy
minutes.
the Bull is the most famous rat on the earth. Sammy the Bull. Then you came Alpo, guy everybody looked up to, charismatic, Harlem fly, Louis Vuitton shit, this, that, Toe. He did that, right?
Shout out to Wayne Perry and Wayne Perry Jr.
Then, in hip-hop, the day 6ix9ine sat on that stand.
Man.
You remember, if you're watching the story, they taking him to court in bulletproof vests. They acting like he was telling on El Chapo. He put a lot of good people in jail, man.
Facts.
No,
we got to put him away till his time again.
Yo,
my feeling is going to get close.
You feel it?
I feel his time has come. I feel his time is going to be soon, though.
We don't need a lot of...
Yeah.
No.
Salute to Joe and Jada. A lot of that's all over the place. But let me tell y'all something. My only problem that I have with Tekashi 6ix9ine is that he was a part of it too. And that's what makes you a rat. When you conduct yourself in criminal activity, and while you're conducting yourself within criminal activity, right, you then move everybody out the way so that you could be good. And listen, everybody got their own path to live. I really don't care. I live in the suburbs. And I also don't sit from some iron chair, like some golden chair, like I can't do no wrong. I've never did no wrong in my life. But my thing is that restitution comes in a lot of ways. It comes in financial. It might come in mental. It's a lot of shit you got to pay back for what you do in the streets. And I just think that the conversation that even he's having with Tekashi 6ix9ine is why it's just so frivolous, right? It's like, I'm not going to sit here and say that he put a lot of good men behind. I don't know none of these niggas to be good men. For everybody, I have friends who I believe is good men, but they are somebody else's worst nightmare because they did something to them that land in prison. That's just how life go when you in the streets. As for Alpo, regardless to him being a rat or not, he died a gangster's death. And that's what comes with this. And instead of us talking about what's going to come in the long run, we talking about, yo, why the rats is able to do this? Why the rats is the most minimal part of the problem. The biggest problem is not being able to break the mindset when you get older to tell these young kids, get the fuck out the streets before you end up having to be a rat. Get out of the streets before you end up having to lose your life. Because once we start talking about codes and upholding them, then what are we talking about? Are there codes that y'all, I'm not even gonna say to y'all, I'm not even gonna put that on neither Joe nor Jada. They're living different lives. They podcasting. They've had very colorful lives and going to jail. Or Jada, I don't believe Jada went to prison before, but he goes and speaks at prisons. That's commendable. Joe has been through a lot. Jada's been through a lot. Their camps has been through a lot. It's been a lot of wars. It's been a lot of bloodshed. It's been a lot of years given. You know what I'm saying? A lot of lives lost and a lot of time lost. And my only question is, with this code, what are we really talking about? This is I do it myself. For the ones that rock with me, you know how we doing. For the ones that don't, eventually will. Catch you on the next one. Peace.